Welcome to the Brookhaven Circle, a podcast to celebrate and explore the business community of Brookhaven Circle in Memphis, Tennessee. While Brookhaven Circle is known for its many restaurants, you'll find a lot more than good eating on the Circle, where many service and retail entrepreneurs have set up shop. Don't forget to subscribe to the Brookhaven Circle on whatever platform you listen or watch your podcast on. Just search the Brookhaven Circle and hit that subscribe button. The Brookhaven Circle is sponsored by V2 Media. I'm Mark Thompson. Now let's meet the Brookhaven Circle business community. Welcome to the Brookhaven Circle, a podcast about the business community on Brookhaven Circle in Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to meet, engage, celebrate, and explore the many entrepreneurs who make up the Brookhaven Circle. So Brookhaven Circle is known for many restaurants, as well it should be, but there is a lot more that Brookhaven Circle has to offer. And that includes Missy Shackelford, who owns the Song Shack. Welcome, Missy. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Tell me a little bit, if you would, about you before we get into the Song Shack. How did you get here how did you get to the Song Shack?
Oh gosh.
In life?
Well, aside from Poplar and Walnut Grove, I think my journey as a musician and a teacher kind of brought me here, a business person. I've been doing music forever, and it's been a very organic journey, I suppose, being a songwriting advocate.
Yeah.
And working with young people. That's what we do.
Well, so tell me what somebody asks you, hey, what does the Song Shack do? What is the Song Shack?
Well, the Song Shack is a music school, which we have lessons there for vocals, instruments, and songwriting. And then we do artist development. So I always like to say it's a music school for all ages, all levels of talent, but also like all stages of talent. I think in Memphis, which is such a music community, we've got these musicians that aren't excellent in some areas. They might be the best talent in the world, but they may not be equipped to go to the next level as far as branding and being excellent in their art, because there's so many great performers everywhere. You have to get to that next level. So I think we equip that for young people and all the way to some of the artists we work with that are older.
And so I know that a whole lot of your passion is around the songwriting aspect of the business. Talk to me about that passion and what you do with it.
I think as a young creative person, when I was younger, songwriting was so much of a therapeutic tool for me. With, going through things as an adolescent and, loss. I lost my father and my mom. So I went through a lot of loss for that, and never really like talking to therapists and all that, but I would write songs all the time about it. And so, and that led me into a professional songwriting profession for many years. And when I started working with consulting with some of the younger artists with some of the labels that I was working with at the time, I started noticing that when creative people start writing songs, it's a lot of stories and emotions and things would come up. And oftentimes they would be like, that was so therapeutic, and I knew what that felt like myself. And so then when I started working with younger people, seeing these young people write songs is still to this day is like, cannot believe a 10-year-old just wrote this beautiful piece of art. But I know with them, they feel more comfortable talking about things that they go through in school with anxiety, with social media particularly. They will put that in songs, whereas sometimes they won't talk to their parents about it or therapists or, So now I forget the question you asked me.
Well, no, that's perfect, because that kind of leads us into something I read about you, and that is, the power of a song. And how you're helping get that out of your students. Talk to me a little bit about that.
The article you're talking about, that how songwriters are so powerful. And I feel like it's so important for some of my younger songwriters to know that they're not just, writing a song. Sometimes you write songs that can change the world, that can change people's perspective that will be part of their narrative for the rest of their life. I know there's been songs that I've written that people have gotten married to. There's some songs that my students have written that have been played at funerals. And I always use like the Star Spangled Banner, I'm sure that when they sat down to write that, it wasn't something that they thought would be celebrated and sang all these years later. And I'm always telling them that you have such a voice in songs. So much easier for people to listen to music and be moved than for somebody to listen to a lecture or, somebody just preaching at you and be moved by it. Music is like accidental therapy sometimes.
And it touches you.
It does.
It touches you sometimes for life.
Right.
The music you hear.
Right.
John Kilser's music still touches me.
Yeah. And we were just talking about Bob Dylan, talking about John Kilser. We were, Bob Dylan is a big discussion because a lot of the kids don't like him. And as a vocalist, to be honest, I don't either. Yeah. But as a writer, I'm like, that's something that he's such a profound writer that whether you like his music or not, like he may not be on your jam playlist, but you still can acknowledge the fact that he's a poet. And so, and Nobel Peace Prize winner, so people start talking about him like, shut up. And he's got a Nobel Peace Prize. But and it's just like forever, he'll be known for the way that he writes and, the poignant topics that he discussed. And
he started on the streets.
I know. Hopefully that won't be the case for my students.
No.
They can always come to the shack. We have a couch.
We have a couch. So one of the other things I read in one of your articles was about the honesty that you have to have with your students and with yourself.
Yeah.
And apparently there's an Aunt Jackie story. Can you share that with me? Yes. I love that.
It's so funny because Aunt Jackie is like my reference point for when I have to be honest with somebody, which when you're coming up in the arts as a creative person, you're creating art and it's very vulnerable. But if you're wanting to monetize or go to the next level, you have to be told like what you need to do to polish it. And so when I had something hard to tell one of the students, like they need to work on their vocals or their music, then I would be like, I'm not your Aunt Jackie. Like, I can't just think everything you do is perfect. I have to tell you the way it is. And so I'm like, no Aunt Jackie's allowed.
Similarly, when our boys were growing up and my wife might have said, good game, good game. I was like, honey, he struck out 3 times. That's
the participation ribbon.
That is not going to resonate with him as a good game.
Right. And I think that's something too, to speak on that, is that it's what I was saying earlier about how like you can be an amazing talent, but you still have to be excellent to accomplish these big, great goals,
Yes. And you can encourage after a bad outing.
Yeah.
But
let's keep it real.
Yeah. Keep it honest.
Right. Yeah. Same thing. No Aunt Jackie's in the music business.
Oh, Aunt Jackie's. No.
And if you have an Aunt Jackie in the music business, you're usually paying them to be an Aunt Jackie, or it's your real Aunt Jackie. But the music business has no Aunt Jackies.
No room for it.
No.
We're going to take about a minute break here. Be back actually maybe in less than a minute. So keep listening. And we're back with you. Thank you. We had a minor malfunction of lights in the background. So, as you say, you just got to fix it.
Yes.
You got to fix it. So talk to me a little bit, if you would, about, watching your students progress and just how fun that is for you and for them.
Yeah.
To see that your passion is working.
Yeah.
And that the process is working.
It's like being a mother to like 100 children, really. Because like even earlier when we were running the song with Cora, who everybody will hear later, it's like I found myself getting emotional hearing her sing her song. And it's that journey where, you remember when somebody's like, I want to learn how to write a song, or listen to the first song I wrote. And then songwriters always dismiss themselves, and I'm like, this is fantastic. And then when you see them becoming more bold and more proud, and it's, and we're real big proponents of goal setting. So it's always, what's the next thing you're trying to accomplish. So every time they hit a milestone, it's rewarding.
That's very cool. Well, why don't we introduce one of your students?
Okay.
I understand you've got a couple of students here with you. We've got RJ Gick.
Yeah, he's
right?
one of my older ones.
So tell me about RJ, and then we'll have RJ come in.
Okay, RJ is so special. He's was a very brilliant pianist when I first met him and started working with him. So he already had that, and he wanted to write songs, and so we were working on songs, and he started writing songs, and of course, you piece them together, and then, and so he started doing that. He started coming up with some really good songs, and fell in love with music. But as a lot of times with my college students going off to college, I'm like, you may not want to major in music. That's a discussion we have all the time. And RJ was like, yeah, I'm not, because I'm going to be a pilot. So, and I was like, okay, well, I hope you still do music. And he was like, yeah, I may double major. And I was like, oh gosh, okay. And so that's what he's doing. So from such a young guy, his musical journey still goes on, even being a college and now a pilot, and about to get his music engineering and production degree. So yeah, and he's just and he's good. Some of our culture is creative and kindness. And so he really embodies that culture and gives back so much as a mentor. And, he helps us with our sound when we do performances. So yeah, I'm so proud of RJ.
That's awesome. So back in the day, we had the singing cowboys.
Oh yeah.
So now we have the singing sky cowboy.
Yes.
RJ, come on in. Let's take a listen.
Yes.
Waiting to make my break for a day or a month or a year, and all I've heard in the meantime are thousands of lies in my ear. Say I'm the best, I'm the greatest. I just don't see how it's true, but I play the part they're expecting, 'cause I don't know what else to do. My life's on the line, but I'll be alright. I just gotta pay my time. Will I burn or shine? Give me a lifeline before I run out of time. The fame's getting harder to find. The strangers creep out from the shadows. They tell me my time's coming soon. Yet here I am patiently waiting through every phase of the moon. I know that I made my mistakes, mistakes that gave me desire, the need to do what it takes, whatever will bring me up higher. My life's on the line, but I'll be alright. I just gotta pay my time. Will it burn or shine? And give me a lifeline before I run out of time. The fame's getting harder to find. And give me a lifeline before I run out of time. The fame's getting harder to find. Yeah, the fame's getting harder to find. So throw me a lifeline.
And the crowd goes wild. The crowd, the crew, all of us.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
So RJ, tell me a little bit about your experience with the Song Shack.
I've been at the Song Shack since I was young. I'm 20 now, but I probably started working with Missy when I was 13, maybe 14. She was teaching vocal lessons to my sister, and I was like, I can't sing, but I can play piano. I was like, well, maybe I should start learning how to sing. I was always a shy kid, played piano in the background, played bass a little bit in the background, But then I was growing up and I was like, you know what? Now, the more attention I got, the more I loved it. And I was like, now I want to be at the front. I want to be that vocalist. And I was like, Missy, can we do some vocal lessons? And she was like, yeah, we could do some vocal lessons. And we did a couple, and all of a sudden I'm here at the Song Shack, and then all of a sudden it's been like 6 years, and I've been writing songs for however long, who even knows. It's been a fun time. It definitely has. And we'll like all of a sudden she's having me run sounds for contests, and whenever we do stuff in the backyard, I'm everywhere.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
It's fun, that's for sure.
Well, so you're having fun with it, and it obviously is giving you a lot more confidence.
Oh, absolutely. Music was a big confidence. I mean, I was never shy, like super shy in the world with people I knew. But when I didn't know people, like crowds, I was never the best with crowds. And then I started playing music, and like I said, I started and I would go to rehearsals and I'd just be the one sitting there in the corner. I'd sit there, I'm like, all right, it's time to play the songs. Let's play the songs. And now I'm like, I'll step up on a crowd of 10,000 people and talk into a mic because I don't care. It's fun. I enjoy it.
If they're giving a wave.
Yeah, it's every time you see people.
Good stuff. RJ, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Missy, let's get you back in for just for a minute, and then we've got one more young lady. So Cora's going to join us. So there we go. Thank you, Shiloh.
I could get so emotional. So sorry. Maybe we can edit.
Wow, that's good stuff, though.
I know it is. When you do something that I know with my journey, everybody was like, nobody's got a songwriting school. It was so hard to find a business model. Like, what am I doing? And there are so many times, like as a business person, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why am I even here? Like, what if this is, what if nobody shows up? And then you question, like, am I doing the right thing? Should I just go back to Johnson & marketing? And then you see this, somebody who just was shy and came through high school, and now, he's a pilot and about to have his sound engineering degree, and just remembering when he was shy, and now he's so confident and such a ray of light.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about that entrepreneurial journey. Like you said, you weren't sure if this would work, if anybody's going to come, how am I going to eat?
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Although the legitimate questions of it. Yeah. It was something that hadn't been done before. Like there's music schools, and there's some, performance schools, maybe acting schools, but a lot of my kids do all the creative arts, and particularly songwriting. And when I told people that, I felt like I needed to grow as teaching songwriting, people would be like, oh, it's not even a job, and it wasn't. And nobody really talked about it.
Well, it is now.
Yeah, now it is. But it was so, it just was really surreal when I realized that it was something that people were interested in. I would do like workshops for artists or at the university. But then there'd always be this one younger kid that would be like, I want to learn how to write songs. And I just found myself so invested in helping them to get the tools, because I may never see them again, it would be in passing. And then when I run back into them, they're like, listen to this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Like, and then, the more I kept doing workshops and kept working with songwriters, I would do private lessons, like with RJ, and I had about 8 students. And then I kept feeling this thing inside that was like, if you build it, they will come. And I'm like, that's not even a thing. That's not real.
It is a thing. I've seen the movie. It's a thing.
Yeah. And so anyhow, I was just like, I'm a spiritual person. And so I just kept feeling this pressing in my spirit, and which defied any entrepreneurial logic that I've ever had. Working in businesses, I actually used to work as a project development specialist for companies that were going under. So I would go in as a project and be like, okay, well, this is why I've got too many people in here. And I've just seen so many businesses not do well. And so mathematically and analytically, and I was just like, oh my gosh, will never work. Like I've got 10 students.
This is some kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was. And it felt completely crazy. And then people that I would tell it, they're like, oh, Missy, it's kind of like, you love what you do so much. It's such a cute little thing,
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was just like that. And then go back to work. And so I had made I just couldn't let it go, and I tell people now, I've got a girl that I mentor, and I'm just like, that little press in your spirit that you can't let go of is usually that little seed that will blossom. And so that little press in my spirit, I had prayed and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try. I'm going to go and look at 2 places. And that, because I really just wanted to get a condo. I was like, wanted to upgrade. And I'm like, I don't want to take on it in my head. And then I said, I'm going to look at two places. And then if just by miracle it works out. And then I thought I was just going to be able to check it off and be like, okay, I can let it go now and just go back to doing regular work. But then I ended up on Brookhaven Circle.
Well, talk to me about how did you end up on Brookhaven Circle?
Okay, it was so weird because I knew if ever I were to do a physical location, of course, in my mind, I thought it would be very small and, cost efficient. But I knew that I needed it to be somewhere where there was not a noise ordinance. Have you ever had like a vision, like in your head? Like I knew that when I found the place, it was going to be a place that was, homey and that they could sit outside and write or perform. And the place I looked at before Brookhaven, they were like, oh, no, after 6, or like during working hours. And then, by 8, everybody needs to go. And there's definitely no outdoor music because it was like people like accountants and, and I was like, well, that makes sense. I'm like, yes, checked off. Because in my heart, I just wanted to be like, okay, I've done my due diligence. This is just something crazy I was thinking about. And then my last place was Brookhaven Circle. And I came here and the real estate guy, he was like, so do you have any questions? And I was like, well, obviously you can't do music outside here, and he said, oh yeah, no, actually the whole circle is zoned to be able to do music. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I was like, oh my God. And there was like this much disappointment because I knew what I was going to do was going to be something that was I couldn't halfway do it. And so I was kind of like a little disappointed because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to do this big thing.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And I literally, it was like it was a lot of prayer, but then it was like a big blank. And I just remember driving home with my lease on the steering wheel and calling my sister and being like, oh, what have I done? Like what? I've got 10 students. Like, what have I done? So yeah, it's been, the Song Shack journey is definitely one that started, I wrote a business plan for this for a friend of mine in 2012 called the Artist Studio. And I gave it to her. I was like, what a great idea this would be for you. Like you should think about doing this. And she's like, I don't want to do that. And so I kept it. And oddly enough, I revisited it and it was my business plan for the Song Shack. How weird, right?
That is.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is. So, and now you've got, I don't know how many, you've got
under 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been, I guess, like my heart is always been towards like lower middle income families, so I felt like I wanted to be able to help more. Of course, like we've got students of all different socioeconomic levels, but that was where my heart was because growing up as a single mom in a 1-parent family with my children, it's like we lived in a nice area so they could go to a nice school, but we couldn't afford extra lessons. And, and my kids were so creative and music, I know, saved their life because they were the demographic of children that would get into trouble and, being a latchkey kid, but we always did, right? We always wrote songs. We always played music and it was so cathartic. And I know that it saved my life. It saved their life. So as soon as we got over here, I was like, I want to do a scholarship for the kids that can't afford to take lessons. And that was just probably been the best payoff in that end of it too, is being able to be available, for kids. Because I truly do believe that songwriting saves these children's lives. I really do.
Well, speaking as a neighbor, I appreciate your concerts.
Oh,
and
yeah. Because we're in the backyard on Brookhaven Circle.
Parking lot of
we
concert.
did the parking lot. Yeah.
Unfortunately, got rain.
But we still play.
The backyard, right?
Yeah.
The band plays on.
Yes, always. Yeah. And then we have the backyard concert area, which is always a good place to get kids performing in an area where they don't feel as much pressure. And, like I said, having kids from all over the globe, young ones, older ones, children from families that do music, children from families that are all attorneys, children that, just showed up. I mean, so it's something that you meet them where they are, and everybody loves to just perform, and the backyard is an easy and accessible, like friends, it's just kind of, we do karaoke sometimes. We'll bring in bands and they are able to perform out there and kind of get out their nerves.
Right. You can overcome that stage fright.
Yes.
Which is a real thing.
Yes.
I have it on the first hole of every golf course I've ever played. It's not pretty.
I can imagine.
No. So you mentioned younger students. We've got one of your younger students with us.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about Cora, and how long has she been with you?
I've had Cora since I think she was 11 or 12. We actually had a debate about this morning. I did one of the workshops, the songwriting workshop, and I found her and excuse me, I was like, Cora, she was very talented, because like usually with younger kids, you're teaching them formats and then feelings. And Cora was just had it, and I was like, Cora, you really are a songwriter. Like, and I call it an organic songwriter, which the way I tell them is like organic songwriters are writing songs and not knowing it until they write a song. So they're experiencing life as a songwriter, and you're going to write songs regardless. And so she wasn't just an organic songwriter. She got it. And then I was just, watching her grow, speaking of stage fright, she was young and she's like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. And she'd always give me such a hard time. And I'm like, you're doing it. And then she'd be like, I don't want to do it. And then she did it. And then, she's made it through competitions. I mean, you'll see, she's such a delight, and she's so grossly talented and just a wonderful person.
Well, let's meet Cora. This is going to be Cora Coleman. Cora, come on in. Welcome. And we'll just sit back and enjoy.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Going round in circles, will the circle ever end? I've been running into strangers who I used to call my friends. Change is always happening, whether big or small. How long has it been since I gave that friend a call? Is time on my side or an enemy I never knew? Do you have to have fun for it to seem like it already flew? Just how long can a person wait? Questions I ask and debate. Slow down, it doesn't wait. Take your time, know that I'm here to stay. Don't worry, at the end of the day, there's no crime and I'm on my way. Even though that I seem brave, time scares me. Time scares me. Do I have time, or does time have me? Because if it does, then how do I break free? Never say never, that doesn't last forever. Still haven't got to say that thing I thought was clever. Fear, it's a wall stopping you from going to places you're not knowing of. How do you get over that wall? I'll be on the other side, giving you a call to say, slow down, it doesn't wait. Take your time, know that I'm here to stay. Don't worry, at the end of the day, there's no crime and I'm on my way. Even though that I seem brave, time scares me. Time scares me. Whoa, whoa.
Wow. Well done.
Thank you.
Wow. So, Cora, tell me a little bit about your journey with the Song Shack.
Like Missy said, we met at a camp that I did last summer, and I immediately was just like, yeah, I need to keep doing this because this is so fun. And I've just grown so much at Song Shack, whether it's singing, songwriting, guitar. Like, I've only been going there for about a year, and I think I've learned a lot. So it's definitely paying off.
Well done. And that you wrote that.
I did. Thank you.
Wow. I mean, that is very touching and real.
Mm-hmm.
Because time scares me.
Right.
Every day. I think I only have 24 hours.
Exactly. I try to be relatable with my songs and stuff. So I'm happy with this one.
Well, good stuff. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having
joining
me.
us. Missy, come on back in. Wow. Both of your students, I mean, that's just outstanding.
It's their original material. Like, I'm proud of all my kids, and I have some that don't write, and I have one in particular that's like, don't even ask me to write a song, and they just want to do vocals. But I'm going to say 92% of our kids ages 6 have got a 6-year-old writing songs, which is crazy to me. And they're good.
6 years old.
6 years old. And
I was still learning the
I
alphabet.
know, like, I don't even think I knew it then. I mean, my mom was a hippie. But it still amazes me. All the ages, but particularly the younger ones, because when they're writing their own material, it's like oftentimes, like with some of them will do all night writes, which is like a lock-in, and we do, and it's just a way to kind of pop off new writers, because we do writing exercises. It's a bonding, we're very, the community is important. I like to empower them and in the way that they feel like they can create, because they feel comfortable and supported. So we do a lot of community things like this night write. And in the night writes, we do like feelings check-ins, and then we write songs that are like speed writing, and we write about our feelings. And so you get so close to the kids, knowing what they're going through, and then you hear them write a song that kind of sums that up. That's when, like, I get so emotional with these kids. Like, I really do. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're not even mine. But you see them grow so much, from that first thought of like, this is what I'm going through. And then it becomes a song. I'm like, this is really what songs are all about.
That's wow.
Yeah.
And you get to do that every day.
I know. I'm always, all the time. It's like
every day.
I show up, and I literally, there's not one day, no matter how tired I am or scared or frustrated, because, as entrepreneurs, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, is this going to fix itself? Like, oh my gosh, and then, there's sometimes I'm just like, I'm so blessed. And I knew that when I started the Song Shack, that it was something that I had to do. And my confirmation was when I had the lease, like I said, driving out of here. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope everything turns out okay. And then, but I know that this is something that I'm meant to do for however long, whether it's a season or a lifetime. Hopefully there'll be 100 Song Shacks in every city for all the kids to have a space of their own.
That's just good stuff. So what's coming up next for the Song Shack? I saw something on your site about a Taylor Swift study.
Yes, we do a lot of deep dives into artists. Taylor Swift is one of them, which all the time, and I tell some of the guys, I'm like, just because you don't like her music, you can't take away the fact that she's an amazing storyteller. So yeah, that's a camp. We had a camp 2 weeks ago that was Let's Write a Musical Camp. I have got to send you that. It's on YouTube, actually. The kids, I thought I was going to have to walk them through it, because I had one in there that was 8. And Cora was actually in it too. And they wrote all the music. Cora actually composed. She was in there on the garage band trying to figure out chords, and did the composition for the theme song for the musical. Isn't that crazy? And it's like they're acting, and then they wrote the entire musical, the script. They casted it themselves. They wrote each song for each character, So yeah, we're all the time doing that. So I just had to throw that out there, because it's the neatest thing I've ever seen in my whole career. Isn't that something? Of my whole career, which is long, and it's every side of the gamut. But yeah, and so they did that. And so now we have the Taylor Swift camp, and we're doing another all night right before school starts, just to get all the kids, kind of make sure their mental health is good going into the school year. And that's my songwriting. We'll write it out. We may not talk about it. There won't be a therapist there, but it will be things that we do talk about. So that way they can feel what they feel and talk about it and see that the other kids are going through the same thing, and we'll write songs about it, and it'll be a good time. And then backyard sessions, we do those regularly throughout the season when the weather allows, which it's been so rainy. It's like every time I want to do one, I'm like, golly.
It's going to rain this weekend.
I know. That's why I'm like, what?
Hard.
I know. That's why I'm like, it looks like maybe next weekend.
Maybe
so
next weekend.
we just fly by the seat of the weather pants.
Yes, the weather pants. Funny. So how would someone find you if they're looking for you?
Yeah.
Contact information.
thesongshag.com. We're also on the social media stuff. We post all of our videos and stuff on YouTube, and then we do it this week at the Song Shack every week on Instagram and Facebook. And so, yeah, the social media and thesongshag.com.
Awesome. Missy, thank you for joining us today. And
thank you so much, Mark.
thank you everyone that's watched, and thank you to RJ and Cora.
Yes.
Give it up again for those two. If you've liked this podcast, subscribe. Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast, or on YouTube. Come look us up. Send any comments, questions, as long as they're kind. That's all we ask. Again, thank you for joining us at the Brookhaven Circle. Yay. Thanks for joining us on the Brookhaven Circle. Please subscribe to our podcast and send us any questions or comments you have. The Brookhaven Circle is produced by V2 Media, a part of the business community on Brookhaven Circle.